this Michael B. Jordan. Listen, you all, I just thought that it was really it was interesting to see him on the red carpet for the premiere, and to see the young lady that I guess called him corny allegedly back when they were in grammar school. Now, let me ask this. Who didn't get talked about in grammar school? Like, she must have really crushed his poor spirit. Poor Tink Tink. She must have really crushed his spirit. And she must have been the driving force for him to become successful, because he like, listen, I bet you when I see that son of a every cuss word you could think of, I'm going to make sure I'm going to set her straight. I'm going to tell her about herself. So he took that as his moment to set her straight. And, he basically gave her a Chris Brown, look at me now. Look at me now. I'm getting paper. He gave her one of those type moments. But my thing is, it was grammar school, fam. Like, you held on to her calling you corny throughout your adult life. Like, you held on to her calling you this. Like, it hurt you that bad that she called you corny, that, listen, you could not get past that. Like, you said, listen, I'm going to have to go and I'm going to have to tell this chick a little bit about herself, and I'm going to choose to do this on the red carpet premiere of the movie that I am starring in. But wasn't that corny? Like, did that make you corny, bro, for confronting her about some ish that happened when you were in 7th grade? And my thing is, again, I just want to know, like, who did not get talked about in grammar school? Because I know, listen, that's where some of my best material came from. Grammar school and high school. It's just like, it's like, some folks are different. Like, and it caused me to think, like, man, does he have any siblings? Like, is he an only child? Maybe I need to do some research on that. Drop a comment and let me know if you guys know if Michael B. Jordan, is he the only child? He has to be the only child, because for something like that to stay with you for so long, you have to be the only child, because you cannot be used to being talked about. Because let me tell you, coming from a big family, there is no way in the world somebody calling you corny should affect you like that if you came from a big family. Because guess what? When you come from a big family, listen, that's all you do is talk about each other. That's all we do is, listen, your roast game, either roast or be roasted. You can, listen, when you have a big family, you don't have time for that. You have to be on it just like that, male or female. Listen, these folks talked about my forehead. So listen, I don't think a forehead joke can offend me. I don't think a big, you talk too much type joke can offend me. I don't think, I ain't flat chested no more, but back in the day, listen, before all of the hormones and the food, and before giving birth, you all and weight gain and old age and 30 plus, and I wasn't really blessed up in the upper region as I am now, So listen, they used to call me, flat chest, all kinds of stuff. But guess what? Oh, I wasn't no punk. Listen, I was a beast right back. So my thing is, I didn't let that take me out. Like, it didn't get to me like, man, I can't wait to become rich and famous so I can just go and say, look at me now. Oh, you called me corny. Look, I'm not corny. Yeah, you are. I mean, that was like a corny move. Like that, the whole get up, in my humble, nobody asked for opinion. But I just thought that was really tacky. And I thought that, I'm just like, he from the hood. I'm like, so how you don't have any experience, getting your jabs in. Like you gotta know when to, come back. Like Corny, bruh. Listen, if you need to be adopted into a bigger family, just let me know because we do have space available. But I'm gonna tell you now, listen, being in a big family ain't for the weak. Listen, it's not for the faint. I used to always tell my son, he's my only child. And so I have a huge family. Listen, we take no prisoners. Like by him not growing up with any siblings in the house, sometimes you can be a little sheltered from the way this real world is going to treat you. I'm just like, listen, when you have siblings, they going to call you all kinds. They going to call you everything but a child of God. So when you get out there in the real world, you're not really offended. You're not really bothered by much because you used to the back and forth banter at home. Now, am I saying that that's right? I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is when you come up in a big family, you have a different type of skin. Like you have a thicker skin versus being an only child. So I'm thinking that maybe he was an only child. So Michael B. Jordan, if you are only child, woo woo woo, I'm sorry. Like I'm sorry that you didn't get the talking about at home, because had you got the talking about at home, then when you went to school, what she said wouldn't have bothered you so much. Because listen, folks telling you all day, listen, they talking about your forehead, they talking about your clothes, they talking about your shoes. So by the time you get to school, you ready. You ready. Like by the time you get out in the real world, you are ready for whatever comes your way. So parents, I would say, like, prepare your kids. Like, prepare your kids for the real world. Like, especially if you have an only child, you may have to call them a name or two just so that they can get used to, being called names. Listen, I used to call my son, a couple of names here and there. He used to be tall. I used to call him Coconut Long Boy because he was tall and skinny. So I did that not to shame him, but at the same time, you can't sit up here and think that everything that people are going to be nice to you, like the world is going to be nice to you and always hug you and coddle you and make you feel good. No, you got to be able to defend yourself, and you have to be able to have tough skin. And being an only child is rough, especially in the hood. And especially if you got, like I said, my family, I come from a big family, sisters and brothers, cousins, aunties, like huge. So it was always some talking about going on. It was always some name calling going on. So, when you get out there and you get to school, it's just like, you ready for it. You like Corny, and you go right back in. So Michael B. Jordan, I'm sorry if you didn't get that experience back in 7th and 8th grade, but like you a full grown man. Like now is not the time to go and say, I'm gonna get my lick back. No, now's not the time for that. You listen, you missed that window of opportunity, when you were in 7th or 8th grade. So like, just woo-saw, right? You done checked on the red carpet or whatever. Hopefully you've gotten it out of your system and you can let it go. But who says that being corny is a bad thing? Like, you have to embrace who you are. Like, I mean, that really bugged me, not because it was a woman. I mean, like, I don't, like I say, you said if she put her foot in her mouth and called this man corny, listen, stand on that ish. Yeah, I called you corny. Now you probably ain't gonna never let me interview you. You probably ain't gonna never put me in your movie or write it. You're probably not gonna do none of that, and I'm okay with that. But I called you corny, and I have to stand on that ish. We, the committee, we stand behind you, ma'am, for calling him corny. Corny is because that's how you act. You appear to be a little bit on the stuffy side, but that's okay because there's a woman out here that wants that. See, I could talk to you. See, like because I'm corny. So you got to embrace who you are and not be so offended by everything. But I'm just like, nowadays, baby, listen, people so offended by it. Listen, you can't say jack without folks crying about it. And I don't take it as bullying. Again, if you grew up, I believe he grew up in Newark, New Jersey, or something like that. He was definitely from the hood. There's no way in the world that being corny should have taken you out like that. But if it did, we stand behind her.